MusicTexas.com, y'all. That's where you're at.
When you call and say, hey, I've got a show coming up, can you fit me in to come and do a promo? I don't care if it's even 10 minutes, they'll get you in there. We all help each other. It's this co-op thing.
The network had gone through the music network had chewed up Ronnie Mac, and they had the bureaucracy was incredible, and they had brought in some other people without even asking him, etc. And finally Ronnie said, I've got to get out of here, and he went to another department, and Esther Matthews became the manager of the network, and so she took over, and she went through her embattlement. I can't remember what she was accused of.
So we have seen the dissolution of the community access TV show in Austin, Texas. which is a real shame considering how dominant and important the television is in our society. And that was a way that people without money, without anything more than an idea and time, could find ways to express their views in ways that they would be seen and be useful to people. But it seems to me that any sort of expression like that now has a dollar sign attached to it.
And finally, it reached a point where they were going to tear down the annex, the City Hall annex, where the Austin Music Network offices were located. And this other manager, Rick Melchior, had leased a studio on downtown in the music district that also was going out of business at the same time. So they were frantically trying to find a place for the music network. And they were looking all over town, and one of the real problems was the cost of putting in that fiber connection to get that non-compressed digital signal that he had out of the studio downtown. Where were they going to put this? They found a place on the south side, but they wanted $75,000 to put in the connection, and they found another place and all the money. In the middle of the night, it hit me, and I literally sat straight up in bed and I said, wow, I've got the fiber connection. And that morning at 7:30, I called Rick Melchior at home and I said, Rick, I said, you realize I've got the fiber connection out of Threadgill's North. I said, you could come out there and you could still have your live studio component. So I want to come out and see that. So he came out and he looked at it and he says, we got to talk about this. He says, okay. He says, here's what I want to do. He says, I want to take the whole network out here. Let's just bring it all out here. He says, I've got a place for my editing bay out at Robert Mueller. He says, I'll bring the whole network, the offices, we'll put them here. We'll be 10 months. We'll be here 10 months. So I put him together with Eddie Wilson. They met and they negotiated a lease for the Austin Music Network. It was very informal. In fact, it was so informal that the Threadgills did not charge 1 penny. They donated the space the first year to the network project.
Once this funding period is through, we're going to have to get very creative to keep it going.
Money is not the issue here. The city has $638 million in cash, $1.6 billion in current assets. This is being done by design. Therefore, my question to you today is not why, but how do we make this stop?
From what I've seen and when I go visit friends' houses, I think it's a really good thing. I think it's a wonderful way to support live music, to support local music, and I wish that it had more support.
When I remember turning on MTV the first time, every once in a while they would have like a commercial for a like a K-Tel album, you know, and that was it. And then slowly more commercials, you know, it just became more commercialized, and I think AMN could do that, and it's worked for all the other music channels. Why can't they do it, you know?
The chances of the music network making it to the fall because of the money situation. I went back to Eddie and I said, here's the situation. I said, they're not going to make it, Eddie. I said, somebody needs to step in and help. He says, well, we have the Kenneth Threadgill Music Project, but they're a for-profit channel. And I said, well, it can always go back to being a non-profit channel. It doesn't have to be for profit. So Eddie went to Rick, actually had a negotiator go to Rick Melchior, and they said to Rick, well, hey Rick, if you're in trouble and you need help, we are here to help, and we are here to take on the contract and guide it forward if you decide that it gets to the point where you think the goal is insurmountable, it's not going to happen. And that's basically what happened. As we moved toward fall, Rick became aware that he was not going to be able to get a renewal on that contract, that the money was not coming forth the way he needed it to run the channel properly. And so the contract was assigned to the Kenneth Threadgill Music Project.
But after 10 years and $4.8 million, it looks like you have council members telling you you have a broken machine, or you're not getting enough bang for your buck, or that many of the taxpayers are upset. Now I see that Austin seems to always have committees or groups to do some kind of evaluation on impact to this or studies of cost on that. And I just wonder what evaluations or studies had ever been done to help AMN. From what I see, nothing's been done. Instead, they've cut the funding by 90% of this music channel for the music capital of the world. It's like kicking it off its feet. We'll just set the Austin Music Network up to be a pawn in an elaborate scheme to merge Austin Music Network with ACTV. The heck with the first public access channel in the United States, now 31 years old. We'll just change it from 3 free speech channels to 1 supposable free speech channel. 1 educational and 1 inspirational, running the same program 24/7.
This competition became set up that one was supposed to replace the other. And so where I'm getting is that as much as the AMP thing has damaged the future of AMN, in some ways it enabled it to land back at ACTV, and which is probably its best long-term for survival if we could ever get this all worked out like we were talking in the other room. Because I think, like I thought 15 years ago when we started all of this, that we could have one organization that on one hand managed the access channels very well, made them very viewable, very fair, very public access we have now. And on the other hand, could manage an Austin Music Channel as kind of our network, as kind of a flagship. And that together those things would float the boat better, would allow more fundraising to come in.
Once in a while, I'm coming off love.
Considering we are the live music capital of the world, it seems only logical and fair that we might actually put some capital up to keep the music running and service our community and help expand that part of the community that we use so heavily to recruit people to come here. Well, you ought to give something back. All those people who come in, okay, let's look at the Dellionaires. How many billions of dollars do you need?
Threadgill Music Project people said, well, we'll only take this on if you will go in and be the general manager. Well, I said, you know, president and general manager, I don't know if I want to do that. I said, you know, that's kind of what I had been doing, and I went away from that. I have to sit in that chair all day, every day, behind that desk and do all those things that you have to do to be the GM, to be the person in charge. They said, well, we're not going to take it if you don't. So I said, okay, I'll do it, and I signed on. And that was how I became the president and general manager of the Austin Music Network. And I can say that it has been a rocket ride, and everything that I expected to happen in terms of my tenure as general manager has happened. And we've made some great progress, and we've taken some tremendous hits from people through the community. But it's been, I think, a rather historic, what has it been? A little over 2 years now. That means I haven't made it as long as Esther, but I've made it longer than Ronnie and Rick, and longer than Luther Carpenter, who was the first manager.
Wouldn't you think that Austin's probably the most liberal city in Texas?
Well, without doubt, no. We could go further than that. It's probably the most liberal city in the nation.
Who was up here before. We will be respectful of every person who's up here speaking. There will be no outbursts, please. In order for everyone to be heard, we have to do it this way. Thank you. Connie.
I know that all of you are interested in the truth, okay? Now, it may not be the version that you have heard or that you would like, but you do need to know what the truth is in this matter. Our proposal, and when I say our, I say AMP, which is me, was to do nothing but save the Austin Music Network, privatize it, take it off the public rolls, and try to make it a viable entity. It had nothing whatsoever to do with ACTV or access channels.
Big corporations are moving in to try to control the expression of the people, and that's because they're reducing people to market groups, to focus groups, trying to figure out how to make the most money with this system. It's a corporate model. The corporate model can't do anything other than try to figure out how to make the most money, because if you're responsible to your shareholders, they are really only interested in the bottom line. So if you don't produce, you're out of there. But the highest calling of humans is not the bottom line. It's that there's a spiritual aspect to it that does not necessarily make money instantly, and yet it's an irreplaceable part of a real, full, self-expressed life. And I think that's what we're leaving behind. That's something that we're not holding as valuable anymore.
This is serious.
Yeah.
We were talking about it yesterday, like Oprah or somebody was talking about being divorced and how my parents got divorced and it affected me. Like, my parents got divorced twice.
Yeah, they got back together.
I was the best man at my biological parents' wedding. My brother was too. We took turns.
That's dysfunctional.
Well, the challenge, of course, was I inherited a network that was a shambles. No inventory. They were using the wrong kind of tape decks to play the tape back in the control room, so it didn't look so good. The board kept going out. We didn't have any cameras. Everything was rented. It all had to go back. So we had to rebuild it from scratch, and it took a lot of work. And that work is primarily behind the scenes. It's political in nature. It's bureaucratic in nature. It's dealing with city management, with the city council, the music commission, the Kenneth Threadgill Music Project, and of course with the audience and the music community. And having known, knew going in that I was going to take a lot of hits, because every manager has been discredited and attacked from various factors within the community.
We'd also like to say a big thank you to the entire crew at the Austin Music Network who come out and tape the shows every Tuesday night. They simulcast them live on AMN, so for those of you watching, we appreciate that. They're going to rebroadcast this show Friday night at 10 o'clock and then Saturday night, Sunday morning at 2 a.m. So watch for it on Time Warner Cable Channel 15 in Austin and San Marcos. They also show it in San Antonio, too. Thank you to Shiner Bach and Mr. Daze.
What to do right at the start. Not let anything out there tear us apart. Now, someone tell me that I'll never find better than that.
What do y'all think about the Austin music?
It's great.
Awesome.
Well, we think it's great, and we hope it always sticks around. And I mean, they go through their stages and their stuff like that. But I mean, we totally support Austin Music Network. I mean, a lot of the videos that are on there are made by people that are here in Austin. I mean,
it's not only Austin musicians; it benefits the film people and the editors and even people like yourselves. I mean, it's like it bridges the gap between film and music, and that's something that a lot of cities don't have. That station.
Yeah. And so much kudos to them. They better stick around.
Yeah. We need the Austin Music Network. Austin would be screwed with that.
The city of Austin said, Woody, what we want you to do is stabilize this network, put in a transitional format, and we're going to get you a facility and we're going to get you the equipment you need. Well, by the time we had reached November of 2002, we still had not received the promised equipment.
What is your opinion on the Austin Music Network?
Oh, Austin Music Network rocks.
The Austin Music Network has been holding on by its fingernails, you know. Its head has been on the chopping block for years. And the airwaves are public domain. They should be public domain. They're not, but they should be. And the more media conglomeration there is, the more media consolidation there is, the more important it is to have little local idiosyncratic stations like Austin Music Network.
I can spend time on this ACLU letter. I can spend time on the Austin American Statesman article from last Tuesday called Access TV and Free Speech Fight. And right in here, John Villarreal, the executive director, says, ACTV executive director John Villarreal stressed that the proposals are just that, and that procedures and produces free speech rights will stay intact. And then he says it may take changing some of the rules and regulations and possibly our contract with the city, Villarreal said, but they will not be prohibited from submitting their programs at all. John Villarreal, how long have you been in Access Television?
This long, I can't even remember.
9 years. 9 years.
I got electrocuted by the sun. I got electrocuted by the sun. 300 million and 41. 300 million and 41. Bolt shot straight into my brain. I said I don't think I'll ever be the same again. Don't worry about it. I turned up and turned around. I jumped up and turned around. Honey, I still don't touch the ground. Honey, I still don't touch the ground. Since you walk with me. Since you walk with me. Since you talk with me.
Very nice, that's excellent. All right, here we go. That was beautifully done. I wish we had a recording of that. Second verse. A little trickier.
I got turned all inside out. I got turned all inside out.
I'm green as a whippertail Brussels sprout.
Green as a whippertail Brussels sprout.
Happy up 7-year college degree. I was happy as spent 2 stocks in so many. That was up real bad. I said I jumped up and hit my head.
I jumped up and hit my head.
Honey, I still haven't been to bed.
Honey, I still haven't been to bed.
Since you walk with me.
Since you walk with me.
Since you talk with me.
Since you talk with me.
Whoa, 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 whoa. All right, very nice. A little weaker that time on the low to wodas.
MusicTexas.com